Now, a lot of people like to use rope and handcuffs during the devil's tango for certain reasons, but I'm gonna say this right now. Me, I will never, and I mean ever, want to get handcuffed or want to get tied up in any way, shape, or form. Because the last time that happened, I ended up getting trapped in a basement. But obviously, before we get into this insane story, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It means a lot when you guys do, and it makes me realize that you guys want more stories just like this one. But other than that, let's just jump straight into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really scary but embarrassing story at the same time. This story all starts off in my grade 11 year. It was towards the end of grade 11, and I remember one thing that happens towards the end of the school year a lot is that a lot of students and basically people try hosting parties so that they would stay relevant for the next year coming up. I thought this was really dumb, but I remember I was invited to like 3 different parties the same weekend, so in a way, I guess it was something to do other than worry about the next school year, which I mean, at the same time makes sense. I don't know. Anyways, I remember one time I was walking down my high school hallway and there was an Asian girl that walked up to me. Now, this Asian girl was really popular and she had a lot of daddy's money, and I'm not joking. She literally drove her Lamborghini to school. I should know because I did her in that Lamborghini, but that's not the point. Going on, I remember she walked up to me and told me, "Hey, Bubba, I was just wondering, like, I'm having a party like this weekend and I don't know, like, I know we like had our time together and stuff, but it would be cool to see you there." Yeah, sure. I'm down. I'll come to this party. Why not? So you're gonna show up? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll see you there. You know my address, right? Yeah, I remember your address. Okay, well, like, I guess see you there. Whatever. Bye. And then she ended up walking away. I remember that day I was really weirded out, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? Whatever. It's been a while since I've been to a good party, and I might as well go to this one. Now, out of all the parties I was invited to, I found it really odd how this girl invited me to her party, especially what happened in that Lamborghini. But at the same time, though, it was whatever. I remember that day I ended up basically getting ready and I got dressed and I basically got, you know, some nice clothes on. You know, I was wearing like a nice puffer jacket and everything, and I ended up basically going to this party. And I remember when I got to this party, there was a lot of different people there and a lot of people from different schools, even to the point where she actually invited people that went to a school that was only for girls. Yeah, there were girls at the party from an all-girls school, and those girls are the freakiest, and you're about to figure out why. I remember when I walked in, a lot of girls started staring at me, and a lot of different guys actually recognized me and walked up to me, dabbed me up and stuff. And let's just say I ended up meeting a lot of people that apparently knew a lot about me, but not about them. Pretty odd that my name was out there a lot, but at the same time, it wasn't like I was a YouTuber or anything. I was just a basic kid. But I guess when you do the devil's tango with that many women, people talk, and it made sense of why a lot of people knew me. And I remember as I was at that party, you know, interacting with people, there was one girl that walked up to me, and she walked up to me handing me alcohol. Now, before anything, I want to say, do not underage drink. It is not a good idea, and it does not make you cool. The only reason why I did it was to pretend I was cool. So don't underage drink, because no matter what, it is not a cool thing to do. Going on with the story, I remember basically this girl walked up to me and ended up handing me a drink, and she handed me a drink saying, "You're Bubba, right?" Yeah, what's going on? "Oh, nothing. I just heard a lot about you. Like, I heard you're like pretty good in like, you know, things." "In things?" "Yeah, you know, you want to walk and talk with me? Here, follow me." She ended up grabbing my wrist, and me and her, we ended up walking on the balcony. We ended up sitting there talking. We were the only ones in the balcony, and the reason we went there was so we can actually talk, because there was just a bunch of loud music blasting inside. And basically, me and this girl started talking together, and she ended up telling me, "So like, I have a question, like, what's your body count?" Now in grade 11, I think my body count back then, I think was around like 67. Yeah, like around 67, 68. So I remember I ended up telling her that, and she was like, "Oh, so like you must be like really good in bed." And I told her I was a machine. Now when I said that, her eyes opened wide and she ended up giggling, and I thought it was funny, and we were just having a good time until she ended up saying this: "Have you ever like thought of just like settling down?" "No, not really. I don't see a point in settling down. I mean, I'm young." "Yeah, but like, don't you want to be like belonging only to one person?" "Belonging to one person?" is what I questioned. And well, I don't know. I guess in a way she was like talking about settling down, which I mean, a lot of girls want to do nowadays. And I guess a lot of really old men that would basically buy wives nowadays. But at the same time, I don't know. For me, it was never a thought in my mind back in high school that young. And I just thought, you know what? Like maybe one day is what I told her. And then that's when she ended up talking to me, and me and her got close, and she invited me over to her place. Now, when she invited me over, honestly, I was a little suspicious because obviously things were going way too fast between me and this girl. But I said, why not? Because once again, I was an F-boy. I didn't care. I remember from there, I ended up driving to her place. And when I got to her place, I remember she basically ended up telling me in the car, "Oh, I just want to say this now. my parents might be home, so you have to be quiet and we can just go straight into the basement. The basement? Yeah, we can't go to my room because like I only have like a single bed and there's like a double bed mattress in the basement, so we could just go there. Okay, cool. Me and her, we ended up going to her place. We ended up going inside and running straight for the basement. And me and her, we just went straight to doing the Devil's Tango. We were making out and stuff, and she was on top of me on the bed, and one thing led to another as we were making out, and my eyes were closed and thinking things were about to get, you know, frisky. Something insane happened where basically I ended up getting my hands put above my head, and I ended up hearing at that moment, I remember I was like, wait, what? And I tried pulling my arm up to grab her, but out of nowhere, I couldn't move my arm. My arm was stuck, or at least one of my arms were stuck in one place. And I remember this girl ended up getting off me and saying, I guess it's time for you to settle down now. What is what I told her? And I started freaking out thinking, bro, there is no way this is happening right now. And I remember when I was looking to the side of my arm, I saw that my hand was handcuffed to like a pipe in the wall that was installed. And I started freaking out. I started freaking out saying, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? And she told me, oh, Bubba, just don't worry about it. Like, you're just gonna be here and you're gonna be mine and you're gonna settle down. I ended up telling her like, yo, is this like some kind of joke? Like, are my friends in on this? And she said no. She said, you gotta understand, you can't always be an F-boy. Eventually, you're gonna have to settle down. And this is your way of settling down. I'm giving you all summer to fall in love with me. Now, at this moment, I knew that this girl was like watching 365 and probably thinking that this was the actual strategy to make someone fall in love with you when it really wasn't. And I started panicking and I started screaming and freaking out, but for some reason, no one can hear me. I ended up telling her like, oh, like, aren't your parents gonna come down? No, my dad's a cop and like my mom is always like out for work, but at the same time, like my parents are usually never home. So I guess me and you just have the house to ourselves. Now, I started freaking out even more. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pull out my phone. So right as I pull out my phone with one hand, she ends up jumping on top of me and literally her knee ended up hitting my balls. And she literally grabbed my phone and me, I was in pain. And she puts my phone all the way across the room where I could see it, but not touch it. I remember I started telling her like how this is not cool and how she could be arrested for this. But obviously she ended up saying, oh, well, like my dad's a cop. So like I doubt I'll actually be arrested, but it's whatever. And then afterwards, she ended up giving me a kiss goodbye and she went upstairs and slept in her own bed while I was locked in the basement. Now that night I was super hungry and I think that was the one night where I was starving and basically dying. And honestly, I was terrified. I didn't know what to think. My phone was ringing and vibrating constantly from my parents wondering where I was, and I was panicking. I remember I ended up staying up all night and I ended up basically not getting any sleep whatsoever. The next morning, this girl came downstairs and she saw me still there and she's like, oh, how's my boy doing? I'm literally dying. I want to get out of here. You know, you're actually crazy, right? Like you're literally crazy. You need to calm down. You're literally like gonna be my future husband. You gotta start watching what you're saying. You're in grade 10. I'm in grade 11. What are you on about? This girl was absolutely batshit crazy. And that's the only times I would probably ever swear on this channel. But I'm gonna be for real with you guys. I started panicking and freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And honestly, I was stuck in there. The whole time in my mind was like basically going numb. And basically, I'm not gonna lie, I think I cried like maybe twice because I ended up staying in that girl's house for over 4 days. Yes, 4 days at that girl's house. And the way I got out was one of the most craziest things ever. Where I remember one time when I was at her place, I remember I ended up hearing the door open, the front door. At this point in time, after 4 days, I guess you really start recognizing noises happening around the house. And when I heard the front door open, I started screaming and yelling because obviously I was hungry and I wanted food. And she only would feed me twice a day, which is, by the way, really not cool. But at the same time, I was like panicking and I was like, yo, like I'm hungry, like give me some food. And out of nowhere, I ended up hearing people come downstairs and it was more than one footstep. And I started hearing this crazy girl saying, no, dad, no one's down there. I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing's happening downstairs. And right at that moment, I see a cop entering the room. And instantly I see this cop saying to this girl, hey, honey, why in the world is there a boy handcuffed to a pipe in my basement? I ended up basically saying, help me. Like, you got to get me out of here. Like, I've been here for the last 4 days. Like, I seriously need help. And at that moment, when I said 4 days, his eyes opened wide. And instantly he ended up pulling out a key and unhandcuffing me and apologizing over and over and over to the point where I'm not going to lie to you, I felt bad for this guy for having such a crazy daughter. I remember he ended up taking me upstairs and feeding me and ordering actually food, funny enough, and basically feeding me to make sure I was okay. And then he ended up apologizing over and over still and really terrified. I ended up telling him how I won't press charges or anything, but like to really get your daughter in line. He ended up saying how like his daughter has been like really acting weird nowadays towards boys and how, you know, I guess going to an all-girl school it was really complicated for him to figure things out with his daughter, and that the connection between him and his daughter was never really that good. And when he told me that his daughter went to all girls school, I kind of realized that this girl was just craving attention, and I guess had way too many daydreams to the point where she thought those daydreams could become a reality. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is that being trapped in that basement was the most scariest thing ever, and luckily this guy ended up getting me out. But at the same time, all I'm gonna say is that stay away from girls that have basements, or just don't go into a basement with a girl that goes to an all-girl school. But other than that, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.